A crash dummy, a tweaker, a crash out, whatever you want to call it, these are the people who reach their limit or come to some sort of conclusion that leads them to act out of character, turning them into somewhat of a villain that will make their own life harder and the lives around them. Basically, everyone has the potential to become a crash out at times, but we try to avoid that because we're good people, right? But knowing the definition of a crash out just makes me think about who the biggest crash outs are in comic book history, and there are a lot. So I just want to name a few and tell you why I think they're the biggest crash outs. First, we gotta mention the most known crash out of them all. He goes by names such as the Clown Prince of Crime and Mr. J, but he's most famously known as the Joker. He is highly known as the arch enemy of the Dark Knight in Gotham, doing plenty of tyrannical things such as killing children, women, and anyone with a pulse, honestly. He is truly an agent of chaos in the streets of Gotham City, but what most people ignore is how and why he is this way. And it was simply just that he had a bad day, where he was booed off stage for being a terrible comedian, his wife accidentally died with her unborn child, and he took a bath in chemicals after a robbery gone wrong. So can you really blame him for crashing out after this? I mean, the dude really had a bad day. Can he just blow off some steam?
Well, I'm the Joker, baby.
The next crash dummy we can talk about is the Punisher, the all-American gun-toting lunatic that has a record of gunning down the whole mob, dismembering and torturing a traffic ring, and killing all Marvel heroes and villains.
Is this nigga serious?
When Frank Castle gets to tweaking, he tweaks hard. But I think it's safe to say a person who witnessed their whole family murdered by the mob will find a way to avenge them, plus do some good by taking down all of crime. But does that make him a hero?
The big H-E-L-L-N-A-H. No. Not a no, but a no.
I don't know, kinda. But this next tweaker went from hero to villain in a matter of minutes. Hal Jordan was the greatest Green Lantern ever. His willpower was the strongest a Corps I'd ever seen, but just like all other crash outs, there came that one faithful bad day. And this day, it's probably the worst so far. His whole city, where he was raised, where his family and friends lived, the place he swore to protect, was just destroyed. Flat out, it's just a crater in the earth now, thanks to Cyborg Superman. When Hal sees this, he begins to break down. He tries to reconstruct the city with his pure willpower, but ultimately he fails because his ring runs out of power. The Guardians try to punish him by summoning him to Oa, but he basically tells them they're not gonna like him when he arrives. So he proceeds to kill every lantern he sees on his way to Oa. He takes every ring he can till he ends up with 2 handfuls of rings. At this point, the Guardians don't know what to do when he's actually there at Oa. So they let Sinestro out of prison to fight Hal. And Hal does give him a fair warning to get out of his way or he will kill him. But Sinestro must think he's still sweet or something, claiming he won't take a life, like he didn't know what happened just 20 minutes ago. But Hal takes off all his rings and fights his oldest foe and oldest friend honorably in a 1v1 and breaks his neck. Now that Hal has defeated everyone in his way, he'll just go and take all the power he needs from the battery. But he forgot to kill Kilowog, his oldest friend in the Corps. He tries to give him an old-fashioned talking to. He tells him that he's not evil. He tells him he is not Sinestro. He does not need to steal power to make things better. And of course, this is accompanied in the middle of some haymakers. It's also here that we learn that Hal left the lanterns he defeated with enough power to survive in the vacuum of space. But if he were to take the power from the battery, they would all die instantly. And Hal takes that all in, peeps game, locks in, catches Kilowog's punch, and disintegrates him with a blast from his ring. He literally just killed his best friend in the Corps. So he takes off his Green Lantern ring, walks into the Green Lantern battery, takes all the power for himself, killing every single Green Lantern in space, and becomes Parallax. He goes on to try to get some revenge and becomes a villain at points, but at the end of the day, his willpower prevailed and he sacrificed himself to reignite the Earth's sun. And the story has been somewhat retconned to a point, but he's far from the only hero to turn bad. Even in Marvel, you have someone like Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. Now in the MCU, Wanda lost her whole family, but what really threw her off the edge was the death of her boyfriend. But not just the fact that he died, the fact that she had to do it to keep the stone away from Thanos, just to see Thanos reverse time and watch him kill Vision all over again. She gets some revenge with a couple of licks in on Thanos, but other than that, she couldn't cope with her loss. She ends up crashing out and enslaving 4,000 people to be background characters in her dream world of a family.
I used to look up to you, man. How How could you do this?
And after that, she ends up going on a killing spree across the multiverse in a hunt for the children she never had. And to be real, in the comics, it's worse. She ends up wiping out all of the mutant race with just 3 words. She is really one formidable tweaker. You better hope you are not on her bad side. But the next crash out seems to have many sides to him, because Hank Pym can crash out at a moment's notice and change his name to Ant-Man, to Goliath, or Giant Man, or Yellow Jacket. It all depends on the day. Does he feel like a great scientist that's a key member of the Avengers? Then he's Ant-Man for the day. If he's feeling insecure about his literal minuscule role on the team or in life, he's Giant Man to, you know, compensate for his small role. This is basically the superhero equivalent to driving around in a truck with 52-inch rims. But if he's not feeling like these two, he could be feeling like a whole different person that is extremely cocky and confident. A person who makes robots to attack his friends so he can be the one to take them down. A person who wants all the fame and the glory. A person who abuses his wife.
What? Hold the fuck up! What the fuck?
Hank Pym is worse than a normal crash out just because he's so unpredictable. But the last crash out might be the most respected amongst fans because he's just so him. Cyclops is looked at as the big blue boy scout of the X-Men, the perfect leader, the guy that always does the right thing, you know, until the mutant population is diminished to 198 people due to another crash out, and finding out your mentor was hiding your brother you never knew you had, sending him out on dangerous missions almost like a Suicide Squad. And after this, he ends up finding the last natural born mutant being Hope Summers and proceeds to protect her by any means necessary, as he sees her as hope for a new generation of mutants. Some would consider the lengths he goes to as crazy, literally making up a war in his mind that anyone who is not a mutant is against the mutants and needs to, you know, be handled. At this time, he was no stranger to telling his team, some children by the way, to go out and kill people he deemed threats towards mutants, including some mutants who just didn't agree with his vision. This all came to a head in Avengers vs. X-Men, where he thinks the Phoenix Force is heading straight to Earth to merge with Hope so she can revive the mutant population. But the Avengers saw this as a bad thing because the X-Men could basically kill anyone who wasn't pro-mutant. So naturally, they need to fight this out, and it ends with Cyclops merging with the Phoenix Force and killing his former mentor in Professor X. A moment that truly turned him into a villain. But yeah, those are the biggest comic book crash outs that came to my mind. Obviously, I missed a lot because there are so many characters and storylines. But what character would you classify as a D1 crash out? And do you think I should make a sequel to this video? Tell us in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and have a great day.